If you're new to our channel, don't forget to hit the subscribe button.
There's many ways to garden: raised beds, traditional ground garden, containers. We're going to go over the right way in which you can build your raised bed gardens. Now, before we get into this, we do want to make aware that Rootmaker.com, one of the sponsors of the show here, they provide large grow beds in raised bed grow bags up to 60 gallons, as well as 2 foot by 4 foot by 12 inches high and 4 foot by 4 foot by 12 inches high.
And those are like a pop-up raised bed. They're made with, like, they have the regular grow bag material, but then they have these little PVC pipe frames.
And it's heat tempered, yes. So it keeps the soil cooler. So
if you don't want to build a raised bed, but you want the concept of a raised bed, they certainly have that available.
So let's talk about what the material that we should plant or should build our raised beds with. We have 3 different categories here. We've got treated lumber, untreated lumber, and red cedar. That's your big 3. Now you can make a raised bed with taking logs and framing it in, but most people shy away.
Back in the 90s, yes, it was treated with arsenic, and that's changed, and it's treated with something called ACQ. It's alkaline copper quaternary, and so it meets the same standards as like the arsenic for above ground and ground contact, but it's safer. It's safe for using for like a raised bed. Mm-hmm. Now, if you want to, if you don't like the way it looks, you can paint the outside, and we've done that. And also, you could. It's something that is safe as opposed to the wood that was.
Some people say that the copper can still not be great for and leaching. Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's the thing. That's the thing.
You got to think about that. Are you taking your tomato and rubbing it against the wood?
Right.
No.
It's a personal thing, but we're just giving you the information.
Also, it's good to know that soil has that buffering capacity.
Right.
So that means that it's going to. I mean, obviously, you don't want to spray this ACQ stuff in your soil directly, but if it's coming into contact, that soil is going to help kind of buffer out some of the possible harmful
stuff. Now, obviously, the best mechanism material would be the untreated lumber. That's it. Now, the cedar is more expensive, but it lasts almost forever. It's a rot-resistant wood, so that's another option which you may want to look at going to. So the height in which we want to build these raised beds. Now, if you're not doing any root crops, 8 inches, a 2x8 size, 2 inches wide by 8 inches high, would be fine. If you're going to do something like carrots or parsnips or something like that nature, 10, 12 inches. Some people even go 16, 18 inches high.
I would say, yeah. I mean, it kind of depends on where you live. If you're in the upper Midwest, you can get with 12 inches just fine. If you are to maybe like California, where you have a longer growing season, you might want to think about doing something like 16 to 18 inches.
Or some people do 20, 24 inches because they put a little lip on the raised bed and they can set on it as they work.
That's nice too. So that's one thing you want to think about if you are building your raised bed and it's going to be taller, especially, you want to think about how far you can reach across. So we say probably don't want to make it more than 4 feet across.
Total width.
Or width. Yeah.
Width, yeah.
So that way you can reach at least 2 feet towards the middle on either side.
Because we don't want, we're putting good soil in this raised bed. You
don't want to be falling into it.
Right, and now we've got it 8 feet wide and we can't get to the center, so we're stepping in the bed. We've went backwards on why we're doing a raised bed.
And I think it just looks nice too if you line them up and then you have them all kind of maybe 4x8 or something like that. It's definitely.
And it doesn't and the length can be as long as you want.
Yeah.
It can be 16, 32, 64 feet, whatever. It's the width is the important portion of this because we want to be able to reach and not step in and compress the soil that we've brought in to feed to grow in the good soil.
Mm-hmm, definitely. So you want to think about the width and then the length.
And before we go any further, there will be weeds in this bed. Even though you're bringing in good compost, weed seeds blow in, they fall from the sky, birds and everything else. But it'll be a minimal amount of weeds that we have to do.
Okay, so then you also want to think about irrigation. Maybe you don't have irrigation set up yet, or
you don't think you're going to.
But a lot of people, they build these raised beds and then it's kind of an investment to build the raised beds, and then maybe next year you want irrigation. This is your first time, and then you're like, well, I could have used irrigation this year, and so then maybe next year you want to invest whatever, save up, Christmas gift, whatever, and get irrigation.
And the raised beds, yes, you talked about an investment. It's not something, you're going to have to put money up front, soil, materials, but what you're going to get is an instant garden, good production, because you've got good soil you've brought in. It's worth the investment, just like anything in life. You invest a little bit, you get the reward back, and it will pay for itself year after year. And next year, you don't have to do really any soil disturbance like we talked about in the first segment. You don't have to till these things. You can add, top it off with new compost each year. But other than that, the garden's ready to go. Boom, done, ready to go.
So we've talked about the sizing of your raised beds, how wide you want to make them. So you want to think about your spacing. So you don't want to, another thing is you don't want to jam these beds so close together that you can't get maybe a lawnmower or a wheelbarrow between them. And also, if your raised bed is only 12 inches high, you might want to sit next to your raised bed. So you want to give yourself about 2 to 3 feet so that you can sit next to it if you need to, or kneel next to it, and are able to access it properly.
The other advantage to having that 2 to 3 foot, I would say 3 foot to 4 foot width, is if you grow tomatoes or you grow a vine crop next to the edge, it gives you a little more walk space, because at the peak of the summer these things are going to be very large and can close up the walk paths that you have. So we want to have plenty of space for air circulation for you to go in and pick, that you're not digging through a forest to get to the produce in which you're trying to harvest.
Definitely. So you don't want to add your garden soil.
Yeah, never do that. And the reasons why.
Okay, so one is that you're just basically adding weeds.
You're not accomplishing what the goal that you set forth for yourself.
And also, if your soil's garbage, then you're just adding garbage soil to your raised bed.
Which is why we're trying to build a raised bed, because we don't have good soil to grow in to begin with.
Well, and some people do it for ease of access and things like that, or they like the way it looks. Or because they don't want to work their soil or build their soil. So you want to reach out to your local garden center. Like in Milwaukee, we have Blue Mills, and they have a mix in bulk that you can fill the beds with. And you can do this yourself. We filled up, our cars, our 4-door smaller cars, and just use
buckets and bags.
Yeah, buckets and bags.
They will deliver.
But that's something that you want to think about.
Find your local. Just don't, because here's the advantage of buying in bulk. Essentially, and this is not mathematically accurate to the actual cent, but for what it would cost to buy 4 cubic feet of soil in compost or raised bed mix in a bag, you can buy a quarter yard in bulk for nearly the same price, because of the advantage of the bulk material. So find your local garden center, your local independent garden center. They will have a mix for raised beds or containers. Or,
like a landscape supply, something like that. But
and they will have what you need.
For more information, please visit thewisconsinvegetablegardener.com.